Projects are investments. Some of these project investments will take years to pay off. How do we account for the long delay in reaping the rewards of our project? This lesson puts an important financial management concept to work. The time value of money can help you evaluate projects, and it is also critical for managing your family finances. In our previous lesson, we compared Project Purple and Project Blue using return on investment and payback period as the basis for evaluation. This lesson adds a new dimension by shifting our time frame from 12 months to 12 years. Project Orange will spend $2 million a year for 4 years. Then it will earn a net benefit of $3 million a year for 8 years. The time value of money is a concept that asks, if I am not going to get that last $3 million until 12 years from now, how should I evaluate this project? Another way of asking it is the first $3 million benefit worth the same to me as the last $3 million benefit? Clearly, these are worthwhile project selection questions. Project Manager sums up the time value of money concept simply. I would rather you paid me $1,000 today instead of $1,000 2 years from now. I think we can all agree with that. Here is a similar question. Would Project Manager rather get paid $1,000 today or $1,210 in 2 years? Anybody who is saving for retirement needs to understand this question. The time value of money is both a personal finance and business finance concept. Before we take this any further, we need to make 2 key assumptions. First, it's risk-free. There is no doubt that the payment will be made in 2 years. Second, I don't need the money today. I would be saving it anyway. Let's add 2 key terms: present value and future value. Here's another way of looking at the same situation. Will you pay $1,000 for this savings bond? To answer these questions, we need another term, the interest rate. If Project Manager can routinely get 10% interest on savings, then $1,000 today is exactly the same as $1,210 in 2 years. Now, we'll do some basic math to reinforce this concept. Today, we have $1,000. The interest rate is 10%, so in 1 year we add 100 to get 1,100. The next year, we add 10%, which is 110, giving us 1,210 after 2 years. You can see there are 4 terms: time, interest rate, future value, and present value. Anytime you have 3 of the 4 variables, you can solve for the other one. These are the formulas for calculating future value and present value. You will find them in the student manual in sections 7.3 and 7.4. Reference these when you work on the learning activities. Now let's apply the time value of money concept to Project Orange. This is a 12-year period. The project lasts 4 years. The payout lasts 8 years. If the interest rate were 0, then the present value of the project expense is $8 million, but it probably isn't 0. Let's say it's 10%. Using the formulas we saw before, you can see the present value of each year of expense. I'm going to round these numbers to keep it simple. The present value of the project investment is about $6.9 million. Each year, the net benefit is $3 million, giving us a total benefit of $24 million and a total net benefit of $16 million. Of course, $3 million in savings 12 years from now isn't $12 million in present value. We can use our 10% interest rate to calculate the present value of years 12, 11, 10, and 9 and see that it looks like $1.1 million, $1.2 million, $1.3 million, and $1.4 million respectively. And the other 4 years look like this: 1.5, 1.7, 1.9, and 2.0 million. Add that up, and you have the present value of the operating profits. Subtract the project expense from the project benefits, and you get the net present value of $5.2 million. Here's the good news. You don't need to calculate net present value for the exam, but you do need to understand how it is used to select projects. Here is Project Orange with only the expenses and net benefits shown. The calculations are the same, and net present value is $5.2 million. Compare Project Orange to Project Green. Before you calculate the net present value, which is financially more attractive? There really are two very different projects. The net present value for Project Green is $3.7 million. And if NPV is our only project selection criteria, which is the better project? Project Orange. Now you see why being able to calculate the present value of expenses and benefits is important. Here is some very good news. Using your favorite search engine, look for Net Present Value Calculator. You'll find some great websites that make this super easy to play around with. Experiment with these calculators and the concept of NPV will become much more intuitive. We've learned a lot about using the time value of money to compare projects. Now, let's look at another variable in the equation, the interest rate. Another term for interest rate is the rate of return. Again, we'll start with a simple question. Is it better to get a 10% rate of return on your investment or a 5% rate of return? That's almost a no-brainer. We want a higher interest rate. But let's do the math to be sure. This brings us to one more project selection technique, the internal rate of return. Here's another no-brainer. Choose projects with a higher internal rate of return. Let's return to our Project Green and Project Orange comparison. Except this time, we won't start with an interest rate. Instead, we'll ask, what interest rate would make our inputs equal our outputs? Or, what interest rate makes our project investment equal the project benefits? The internal rate of return for Green is 42.82%. The IRR for Orange is 21.6%. So, using the internal rate of return method, Project Green is clearly the better choice. Good news here, you won't calculate this number for the exam. You just need to know that higher is better. Again, I suggest you search for internal rate of return calculator. IRR is particularly difficult to calculate. Use the website calculator. Play around with this concept until it is more intuitive for you. We've done quite a bit of work in this lesson to finish up with two project selection methods, net present value and internal rate of return. In both cases, higher is better. These two techniques are based on the concept of the time value of money, which says $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. For the exam, you will want to know the meaning of present value and future value and memorize how they are calculated. Not only will you see these project selection concepts on the exam, but the fundamentals of time value of money will be valuable to your own personal finances.